play for sure.
This is like a TI. Is this TI 7 that Enchantress Shaker were first rounded? I think it was.
Yeah.
Back for Liquid. I believe these are their first round picks.
Yeah.
Enchantress kind of geared up to be an offlaner already with this draft because she's the type of offlaner you want with Shaker as a 4. Just an independent, ranged hero that you secure her early first few levels and then you leave her alone. But more people have been running it as a 5 as of late after the Impetus nerfs. So curious to see what they do with that. They immediately go for the Shadow Fiend, a hero that can easily kill the Enchantress no matter what position it is. But does kind of suffer to fissure ganks in the mid lane. Got to be careful with that. Leo style special.
Do you think that impacts where they'll run the Enchantress?
Yeah, I mean, Cloud9's done some weird stuff. They'll pick a hero early, it gets counter, and then they leave it in a core role anyway. So I would hope if you, usually the goal is you pick this hero early, it's a flex pick. If it gets countered, you put it as a 5. But, I mean, it is the type of hero Snake King loves to play. These, like, lane dominating, up in your face, annoying, hard to kill heroes. He played Necro earlier today, same idea. But I personally gave up on offlane Enchantress when they made Impetus 65 mana. Pretty much forces you not to skill your heal because you just don't have enough mana to do damage and defense. So, which is not a feels good in the mid game when you have 1 or 2 points in heal instead of maxed. You are just killable in last patch where you weren't.
You know what's kind of interesting here is the Void Spirit. I think 100% pick and ban, and I think 100% in the first phase too, whether it's banned or picked. Thunder Predator in their first game against Evil Geniuses first picked it, and here apparently they've just lost faith and opted for the SF instead, who is a really good pick.
I have a better theory for you.
What's
they
that?
saw the Eternal Envy Void Spirit earlier, so they said, "I dare you to pick it." Cloud9. If we pick it, you can't pick it. So we're gonna let you have it. What do you
they get it. We can't lose.
Sorry.
God damn.
They're like, we'll let him have the Blade Mail Rush Void Spirit for carry. Okay, I've been bashing on Eternal Envy. Honestly, I enjoy watching him play, but the guy does
Brian,
some
have
weird.
You had too many bad pub experiences?
Dude, he's been playing terribly in some of my pubs. He was like losing me games, and then there's just one game he's playing mid against somebody, and he's on the other team, and he beat my mid laner by like 4 levels. He was like a level 10 Morphling, and I had a level 6 Leshrac, and I'm like, where's this Eternal Envy when he's on my team? You know, what is this?
I'll be the Eternal Envy defender. I love playing pubs with Envy.
I have
when
no
I get
problem,
Envy on
honestly.
my
He
team,
does some weird
I'm very
stuff,
happy because I have one really big rule about pubs. I will always prefer over communicators, which by God, Envy's definitely in that category, rather than under communicators. I always prefer to have more information and such, and leadership and such out there, especially NA pubs, because it's a shit show. Nobody knows what they're doing. So as long as you're doing something together, it's probably going to be good. And Jackie, he definitely does that.
My Eternal Envy highlight from my last recent pubs was I was forced to play 5 position, and my mid lane was struggling, so I rotated. And I looked top, and he's a level 6 Void against a level 6 Pugna, offlane Pugna, and he time walks on top of the Pugna, gets instant decrypt, blasted, and ulted and dies. I was like, what am I looking at? I'm like, what did you expect to happen? When you
did he flame you for leaving lane?
No, he actually said nothing. He's never flamed me like that before. It's pretty funny what I see. I'm like, what did you expect exactly when you did that? But
okay,
moving on.
This reminds me of what was Eternal Envy's team last year?
Numerous, but flying penguins, perhaps.
Might have been flying penguins. Maybe I'm thinking of.
Are you thinking like last season, or are you talking about like last year's? In 2019?
Maybe it wasn't Eternal Envy's team, but there was the NA team that had this kind of style of draft every single time, and it was very much a sort of let people run into you sort of deal, and just play to their mistakes and
that
such.
Does sound like
defend
Eternal
your
Envy.
Towers, collapse on your jungle
lose
when it
2
gets
lanes
invaded, lose the 2 lanes of Rax, and then focus on throne. Yeah, things like that.
Slark is a sick pick here. As a Slark lover myself, very good against Arc Warden. You steal Agi from the clone, not permanent Agi, but the Essence Shift stacks you do get from the clone. You can obviously purge off the Beastmaster Roar. It's not the best against Shaker, but once you get Cold Embraced, they don't really do anything to the Slark, so it lets him kind of freely run into the middle of the fight
Do you think his lane is going to go well? Let's say it's
should.
Beastmaster Enchantress.
I think they would tri-lane it if they're going to do that.
Okay.
Like, if I was a Slark here, I would ask my team to tri-lane the first wave if that's what the opponent tried to do. I'd buy an Orb of Venom, and because I have Wyvern with the slow, very powerful level 1 hero for kills, I'd go for the kills. But
Okay.
that's the thing about Slark. I'm surprised people aren't picking him more in this tournament, at least from what I've seen so far. He's seems to flourish in like a tri-lane setting where you help him just once. You don't tri-lane permanently. You just tri-lane for like the first wave or two, and then leave him alone once he's gotten that slight lead.
See, Dan, it's not fair being on the couch with Brian anymore.
I talk too much?
It used to be that you were the safe lane expert.
Yeah.
And I could talk off lane. And now he's moving over to off lane, but he can still talk about safe lane.
Well, I still
now
have 800 games
me
of
on both. He's just taking over my role. I have nothing to talk about.
Maybe you need to transition.
So, Dan, you have to talk about mid matchups now.
God.
Because I sure as hell am not talking about it.
I've played mid once.
Fair enough.
How'd it go?
You know, that was all right.
What'd you play?
I started off, my first start of my Dota career about 10 years ago, I just played Zeus mid endlessly. I spammed it 6 games.
You said you only played it once.
Oh, I was joking.
Oh, okay.
Comedic effect.
Okay.
Noted. It's something you can learn here, Brian.
And now I just play support these days. I'm too old.
Fair enough. That is a common trend. The older Dota players get, the more they drift into the more supportive roles.
I got about a year left.
Dota 2. Brian's already on his way down. Next thing you know, he's going to be playing 5 position. Eternal Envy is one of the few players who hasn't gone that down that road. He almost did, right? He moved over to support. He was playing 5 position with Z-Freak. Then he moved into the 4 position for Z-Freak to play 5 instead. And now he's back. He's back on that carry. Believing in himself, even if
the day he took 4 position from Z-Freak was the day I knew he was desperate. With that team specifically, I was like, how can you just not let Z-Freak play 4? He moved him into 5, and I'm like, that guy's been playing 4 for 8 years or something, since the dawn of time. This is a very North American draft from an SA team. Like, it looks like an exact lineup the way it was formulated I would see in my pubs. You know, they pick Beastmaster, you pick Wyvern. They pick Arc Warden, you pick Slark. Now you have to pick your offlaner, you pick a Purge against Beastmaster. It's a very, very North American-looking pub draft.
So is the implication there the whole picture isn't quite correct? Do you feel like there's a weakness to this lineup as a
I actually think their whole picture is pretty good.
Okay.
I do see a lot of first-round SFs in my North American pubs, too. Usually they do a pretty good job if they're SF specialists. The hero doesn't really lose his lane with, like, the triple mango whole deal going here. Curious to see how the Slark itemizes here. When I'm against Bloodseeker specifically, I really like the SNY Satanic build, just depending on, like, I like to go like Echo Saber, maybe Diffusal first, just because it is a bit of an annoying matchup. So looking forward to some chaotic Eternal Envy Dota, that's all I know.
Well, I'm looking forward to any kind of Dota, but especially fun, chaotic Eternal Envy Dota. Let's go to a quick break and come back with Cloud9 versus Thunder Predator. And if you're sitting there wondering, what about the game? Well, don't worry. We're still getting into our hero intros into Cloud9 versus Thunder Predator. We've got a last pick Bloodseeker from Cloud9. We didn't actually talk about that. At Star Ladder, it was 4 for 4, 100% win rate. I believe it was mostly picked against Bloodseekers. It was picked rare. Against Slarks. And so very successful win rate against this hero. Brian, do you think that means that they've got the advantage as we see the loot bet odds there in the top right corner favoring Thunder Predator?
All I know is I'm really not a fan of Diffusal Slark against Bloodseeker, so I'll see if he agrees with me. I think you just buy tanky items.
Okay.
And then you buy status resistance, and then you don't really care that you get ruptured because you only get ruptured for like 6 seconds, and if you absolutely have to, you can spend 4 seconds of that ultied.
So you should go the SNY build?
I prefer that. That's my reaction to Bloodseeker. This is a game where he doesn't particularly need BKB because his only threats are Bloodseeker and Earthshaker, and you have a save from the Wyvern as well as the Legion. So you just want to make it so the enemy team dumps as much abilities into you as possible, and then after you've survived those because of your saves, you then fight. So you don't want BKB, you don't want hard committal items like Diffusal, you just want long drawn out fight items. You go like SNY, Satanic, Basher, Butterfly, Scotty, these types of items.
Dan, if you were playing in this game, which side would you prefer to play on?
I like the Thunder Predator draft a
I do
lot.
too.
I think it's simple, and I think they're going to be able to run into Cloud9 and disrupt them quite effectively. I think the Cloud9 draft is a touch fiddly for me.
It's always a little hard when you play like any of those matchups where you play a carry versus carry counter matchup. Like your play is a lot more important, right? Usually your lineup isn't as simple to run.
I think they have enough saves on the Bloodseeker, as Brand said, that I don't think it's that big a deal that it's countering the Slug.
That's fair enough.
I think it's just a matchup that is annoying for Slark. You just have to play the mid game very differently, and then you have to itemize differently because of the Bloodseeker. And if you don't do that, the matchup's really bad. It's still not good, but I think it's a lot more game losing based on how people react to it than it needs to be. Interesting first point and heal coming out from Enchantress. That got nerfed a while back to quite less heal than it should be. Or than it used to be. I mean, it's like 70. It was like a 30% nerf, so pretty drastic. He's already popped it twice, and he's gonna go down most likely bottom. No, he's fine.
Almost got bopped by Matthew. Guess he's just distracting him long enough. Or Bloodseeker, just focusing on being able to get those blood right kills.
Definitely gonna pay attention to whether or not Earthshaker can get a couple crucial kills on the SF sometime when the Arc Warden's around level 5 or 6. He's probably going to chill top, try to secure Beastmaster for now. But the momentum, I think, is going to heavily come from the SF or not. Whether or not he can be the +1 to his Legion Commander duels, relieve some pressure on his Slark. Leo Style is very active. I've played with him a lot in pubs. He does participate a lot in the game as SF. Something that's very enjoyable to play with as opposed to those people that just jungle all game.
Earlier I watched them. He went the Yules build.
Yeah, I was going to say he usually goes the Yules Blink Bots build. He'll probably buy a BKB this game. Legion can't dispel you when you're BKB'd, but usually you want one core to buy a BKB, and then the other one's the one you focus on dispelling.
Nice deny by Snake.
that's a little cheeky play there.
Take it away without a Hawk bounty. MJZ, we saw him in an interview in the closet earlier today, right?
He wasn't much seen.
That's true.
The
That's
camera
true. We didn't
in
have
the
a
closet
camera
was
that
not
time.
working.
Was there anything illuminating that he talked about in that interview?
It was not about their game style. We were talking more about South America and how it's improved over the years. We were talking about the influx of foreign talent and how that helped and didn't help him.
So what was the overall consensus?
I think he felt that it improved the state of the region overall. I think that's what a lot of people have told me.
Yeah.
Duster told me that, for example, and I know people think Duster didn't like but he said it was fine and it really helped with Weehar and everything. But they were talking about how he just wants the region itself to grow now. And he feels there's enough teams to scrim that it's not a problem anymore, which is what people 2-3 years ago were saying about South America, that it was impossible to scrim, and they just weren't learning, which I think has made a big difference to how good Beast Coast now are, that they're able to improve the other teams as well.
Go ahead.
That certainly, I think Beast Coast is going to have a big effect, and then I think the next season, right, could have a potentially very big effect on SA. Bottom lane, Matthew gets a little bit low. Eternal Envy is trying to chase him down. That heal from the Legion Commander pressed the attack, was keeping him alive for a little bit longer, but eventually Jackie does get the kill.
I firmly believe at the pace we're going, SA will be better than NA in like 2 years.
Damn. Now that's I feel like I got a little bit of flashback when I was at the Shanghai Major and we had Kyle on the couch. Mark my words. After this major, North America and C will be considered the best regions.
I didn't say they're going to be the best regions. I said they're going to be better than North America. It's quite less of a bold statement.
I'm saying I had a flashback to that, and then I was like, well, what Brian's saying is pretty reasonable.
And I knew Kyle was wrong because that's just how it goes.
In his defense, he didn't specify who would consider them the best region.
Yeah,
That's true.
Could have been anyone, like my mum.
Does she watch Dota?
She listens to my podcast and doesn't understand it.
Oh, okay. Well, she's supportive at least.
Yeah.
Who's your mom's favorite? Oh, hold up. Bottom lane. Eternal Envy taking a bit of damage here. That tornado, it is causing some chaos here. Frank is going to be able to get out of range that tornado and take a little less damage. The blood right. Matthew's actually going to have to run back in order to dodge that big nuke, allowing Pilot Die to get more and more hits in. The blood raged up Matthew apparently doesn't care that much, especially since he still has Fate Bolt in the bank. Bounty Rune spawning. Eternal Envy will chase away the Legion commander, but at the same time, Minos, a.k.a. MNZ, a.k.a. Kataro Ayama, is going to be able to secure both that Bounty Rune and the Pounce. Not enough to get the kill.
Oh, not quite getting the board. That thing's worth 65 XP, man. It's worth a lot. Or 64, something like that.
But yes, who is your mom's favorite?
She likes No Tail a lot. She's a big No Tail fan.
Wow.
Everyone does.
How typical.
I know. She's a,
Honestly, he's great, so it's fun.
She's very basic.
I do hear women like flowers, so
Yeah.
it makes sense that she likes
she
No Tail.
does.
You hear that, Brian, but you
Yeah.
haven't actually put that into practice
Yeah,
yet?
not yet, not yet. I got some roses for Valentine's Day, you know, the stereotypical. Looks like there's some pressure going on mid. This was what I was a bit concerned about. SF not tanking the gig, though, so it's kind of nice for them there.
Instead, it's the Rubik who tries to pull the pressure off the tower, but the big rotation coming out
The
from Thunder Predator.
level 4 Legion gank.
Yeah, and it's not very effective because he doesn't have a disable to come with it. It was able to flush out Pylai Die for Leo style to claim that kill. And they do defend the tower, but it is quite low, and just one small push will probably open up that mid lane.
Left Envy alone.
Yeah, he's already level 6. He's feeling pretty good on Bloodseeker. Shred's done on Slark. He's level 6 as well. I like that he went for the maxed Dark Pact here. Yeah, you're against a melee hero, but against Bloodseeker, you don't really want to lane nearly as much. Just because if you ever do manage to get slightly low, you are just going to go down, even if Bloodseeker's not there, just because of the vision granted from his passive.
So you just want to spend more time efficiently jungling with
Yeah,
Dark
it's
Pact
really
then.
big about getting up to like level 10 plus one item, just
Right.
so that 25% health comes a lot later that he can see you at.
Matthew trying to head off Misery here. He's going to try and set up the raises. Lands 1, 2. Easy kill. Matthew's actually the one to pick it up and not Leo style. Meanwhile, back over to mid. We said one small push is all it's going to take to make that tower fall. Now the question is whether or not he can get the last hit. There is the deny from Leo style. He's able to get that at least.
That's 4 heroes from Thunder Predator, though. That Legion's kind of become a support at this point.
Yeah.
He went Orb of Venom first level against Enchantress. I'm not really a big fan of that. I think against heroes like Enchantress, you just try to weather the first 3 minutes instead of win it. I don't think it really works to try to win. I would have just like gone Quelling Blade with a Ring of Protection because almost every Enchantress buys Blightstone.
Yeah, and trying to win the harassment war against Bloodseeker, it's always a precarious gamble that you're taking there, right?
Yeah.
Like, he could work, or it could turn into that harassment does nothing because he's still getting every single last hit, and he's full HP.
I'm sure you can relate. Sometimes on offlane, the most important thing is to admit there's nothing you can do to win that lane.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, I know I'm not going to win. What can I do to lose less? And whenever I buy Orb of Venom, I feel like I'm trying to win the lane.
Yes, very often the off lane turns into the Kobayashi Maru simulation there, where it's just there's no win condition.
Yep.
I don't know what that reference is.
I'll act like I do.
All right. All right. It was a training exercise that was supposed to prove to captains that sometimes there is no winning scenario. Sometimes there's nothing that you can do. And
I'm glad you could explain it for Dan here.
and Captain Captain Kirk cheated in order to find a way to be able to win. And he claims that the test is broken. They claim,
Excellent.
well, you weren't taking the lesson into heart.
At the beginning of that explanation, you didn't specify that was Star Trek at all.
Yes,
So I
sorry, it was
figured
Star
it was-
Trek.
I
mean,
just
I'm
wanna
pretty
say
sure my
Eternal
audience
Envy-
knows what I'm talking about.
Eternal Envy's dead.
What? How?
No duel was used.
Huh.
He's just at the opponent triangle and he's dead.
You know what? Fair play to him.
We'll leave it up to the viewer's imagination on how he is dead there. He does have to be careful on Slark. Oh, a lot of Phantoms. Oh, I really don't like the Diffusal Rush, man. It's alright. I'll get over it.
Why do you think his logic is to go to the Diffusal?
Most people just buy Diffusal because it's a good item on Slark. I just think against Bloodseeker specifically, I don't like it.
Bravo Aurora going out, trying to get a pick off onto MJZ. Will be able to do so.
Certain things I really believe that you only understand if you've played a hero 800 times. Like there's
Is
something.
that how many times you
I've
played
played
Slark?
a lot of Slark games.
Okay.
And like whenever he's one of the few heroes where I really do feel like I know what to do in every single scenario.
Damn.
And there's very few that feel like that. And when I watch players that are like really specialists at certain heroes, and I'm just like, I don't feel like I could ever play the hero as good as they do. And he's one of the few heroes that I'm like, I wish people would buy different items against Bloodseeker.
I consider myself a bit of a grinder, and my most played hero is Earthshaker at 523 matches. I'm nowhere even close to your level of proficiency on Slark.
Yeah, it's a lot of Slark games.
Well,
it's not something I'm exactly proud of, but I'm also I
mean,
don't regret it.
my opinion of you is very low right now.
Yeah.
Believe me, I hate Slark players, but it's 1K net worth lead for Cloud9 right now, 4-4. They have taken that mid tower. They've taken the safe lane tower away from Thunder Predator. They are beginning to hem them in a little bit. They're also opening up space for Misery to farm the top lane for his Blink Dagger and his level 6, while Snake King is trying to be the playmaker. Look at them. They're just closing off this entire jungle area.
A lot of map control, natural summons from the Beastmaster, Enchantress, the Necrobook. They're forced to play bottom on the side of Thunder Predator, and Slark, because he's against a unpurgeable ult from the Bloodseeker. He can't play top anymore, so that means Legion really has nowhere to farm. Like, Slark's going to get his farm, but Legion's kind of just chilling now.
And an underfarmed Legion commander feels terrible.
Yeah, it does not feel good at all.
Like, unlike Omni-Knight or Abaddon, at least you feel good about your saves. You know, one press the attack, it can only do so much.
Well, Legion
you know?
effectively has two skills missing if she's a support, right? Like, meaning if she's her counterattack does virtually nothing and her duels does virtually nothing when she's behind like this. On the other hand, Abaddon and Omni, you know, they can then make use of almost all their skills despite having a rough start. Faded Brooch on Bloodseeker, really good because of your percent movement speed from your passive. Arc Warden's having a nice game. This is who started this build? I think it was Emo. I think saw this do this build first. The Treads Quadruple Wraithband Arc Warden.
Yeah.
Do you recall that too? I think it was Emo.
Emo was definitely one of them. And then that was a really big play for somebody else. One of the European teams would do that all the time. And I personally love it because I feel like Arc Warden is like very impactful in the mid game, and it was only really discovered with this very stat-focused build how effective you could be at just running your Tempest double around and always forcing people back onto their side of the map.
Yeah, you usually just don't have enough slots on carry heroes or core heroes in general to go these Wraith Bands, but people were just rushing Mjolnir after the 4 Wraith Bands. So you get to keep the 4 Wraith Bands for a very long time, despite having very few slots left.
I think this would have been a game, though, where you could have gone the more carry style Arc Warden. I feel just because you have a safe lane carry that's more mid-game, and I would say playmaking.
I'm just scared against a hero like Slark that if you don't have really heavy mid-game items by the time he comes online with this Diffusal, you're potentially giving him that 1 or 2 kills on you right now.
Sure.
And if you go like the whole Midas bots or stuff like that, you're not only more net worth, but you're also easier to kill.
So you want to be strong enough to just stand toe-to-toe against him, force him to back down away from you.
Yeah, make it just take that extra bit of oomph from the Slark to kill you, and sometimes that's just really makes or breaks the difference for Slark players to, like, he does lack damage unless he's hitting you a lot, now that his pounce no longer gives damage. They do have a Blink Dagger on Legion, so they are smoked up ready to make something happen. Scanning to see if anyone's there. Nobody as of now.
At the same time, there is the Blink Dagger up for Misery on Cloud9 as well. Now they are going to spot this. Eternal Envy farming up Ancients. A duel going off. Should be able to burst him down and get that duel damage. Clean up the rest of the stack as well. That's just the cherry on top.
That was value. He got like 6 Ancients with that overwhelming odds, so did a lot of damage to the Bloodseeker there to initially.
What's the British version of a cherry on top?
Cherry on top.
Fair enough.
We've got cherries, we've got tops. We're fine.
Let me just say, Dan, I love the, I'm a big sucker for the very understated sense of British humor. It really gets me because I'm not that.
Yes.
So it tickles my funny bone, you know.
It's good to hear. Thank you. Do you think they're now going to be looking to push the game more Thunder Predator after that kill, or is it more back to farming?
I think they're gonna. It's their job now to kind of fight their way back onto the map. Cloud9 has a lot of natural lane shovers and farmers, and if they don't keep killing them, they're just gonna run out of space to farm themselves. And when all your lanes are pushed, your kills don't really lead to anything other than just having more space to farm. So they're gonna pretty much fight their way back onto the map anytime they feel like they're getting closed in on too much. And you only have so many smokes. You have to be a bit careful, especially like Cap said, they have the Blink Dagger on Shaker. You have to be very careful of overcommitting. But if they can catch somebody with a good Wyvern ulti, when you have Beastmaster type lineups, they kind of just kill the guy really fast. So both teams kind of have to be very careful about clumping up and overcommitting onto one hero.
Does Untouchable work in Wyvern ulti?
It does not work on allies, I believe.
Yep.
Even then, they get 80 attack speed for being in the Wyvern ulti, so it kind of negates it. If it does, you probably die anyway.
55.
Not
You're
that
pretty
you-
close.
Is it 55? I thought it was 80.
Must have nerfed it. Duel. Oh, Arc Warden trying to protect him with the bubble, and will be enough. Highlight Die survives the duel, doesn't survive the damage immediately afterwards. Now Leo Style gets off his ultimate, scaring back both the Arc Warden. The ultimate comes in, the Echo Slam. Winter's Curse, not quite enough to be able to save the Arc Warden. It's a beautiful Winter's Curse, though. Does a lot of damage. Snaking sets up the kill onto the Earthshaker as they 1-2-3 raise him down. Now Eternal Envy on the run, finds a Haste Rune on the go, so he's going to be zooming on out of here, but it doesn't take away the shame and loss of that team fight.
You saw there, they just cold embrace whoever's getting gone on, and then they press the attack, the Slark, when he's ruptured. Whenever I pick Bloodseeker into Slark, it's because I don't think the Slark can afford to stand still when he gets ruptured. But in this game, they just have so many enabling tools to allow him to stand still. Not only that, but they also just Shadow Fiend Requiemed on top of the initiation from Cloud9. So the Earthshaker's combo got broken by... What happened over there, bud?
I got really excited, you know, and I started throwing water around, except for it wasn't water, it was Monster.
But now you are full of
Thank
energy
you.
everywhere.
I am.
Yes.
I'm just amped up right now, you know.
Dang.
That's what Monster does. You just can't control yourself.
Feel it.
Don't know if that's a great advertising slogan. You'll not be able to control yourself. Whatever you do will not be your fault.
It's almost good of a promotion as Grant chugging it.
I was about to say, Monster, I swear, I wasn't chugging it or anything.
No, he's drinking responsibly. They are just going to take that into a Roshan, knowing that there are some cooldowns. But Thunder Predator could have contested this if they were ready, but Blood Rage plus the Arc Warden bubble plus the Beastmaster aura leads to quite a fast Rosh.
Do they know?
They just don't appear to know.
Must feel bad.
That's a pretty big deal for Bloodseeker because he's probably a bit scared to commit to fights in the first place, but now they only have really one big volley of abilities from Thunder Predator.
Now that kind of undoes the damage that was done from that last team fight, right?
Kind of. He is getting the Essence Shift stacks from this clone, which I said he gets gold, he gets Essence Shift. That's nice. Was forced to pop his ultimate, but...
And he's level 15, so he's got the maxed out passive.
So I said I don't like Diffusal, and he doesn't need BKB, and he just goes Diffusal BKB, so I hope he wins, so I look like an idiot. He does have the Vampire Fangs in his backpack. It can be kind of nice for fights when you're against heroes like Bloodseeker, where you kind of just need to sustain through the damage that they throw into the ground, or just by rupturing you.
The multi-shot of the tier 2s, I feel like that was there was definitely kind of a subtle buff to heroes like Winter Wyvern, Mars, anybody who can actually save
Illusion heroes
a creep
like PL.
wave. Yeah, PL for a great example of that, of just being able to anything that can save your creep wave and allow you to keep that timing. Otherwise, you get pushed back. You have to wait for the next wave. Maybe you can't actually take the tower at all as a result of that.
That
delay.
extra 30 seconds that you're waiting for the next creep wave can make or break whether or not you're allowed to push. He is going S&Y. He has it queued up at least, so.
All right.
Big fan here. Big fan.
Brian was right.
I like
At least
Echo
half,
Saber
right?
or Diffusal into S&Y. I lean towards Echo Saber, but I'm not going to flame Diffusal.
Sure.
It's pretty hard to say that the item's bad because it's just a nice item on Slug in general.
So that will significantly bring down the how long
Duration.
that rupture lasts.
Yeah, I think it goes... What's the status distance, 20? Yeah, so it'll go down to about 9.5.
Okay.
Would he go Satanic on top of that?
Yeah, usually. I learned it from Anna, actually, so if people are wondering, you know, how's BSJ qualified to talk about this, I just copy and pasted a TI winner. He was the first one that I saw go Satanic Slark, and it kind of on paper is like, why would Slark need a Satanic? But turns out when you just need to man fight your way back to full health and you can save your ultimate because of it, it just makes you a much stronger hero.
Yeah, they just, you know, as long as they can't burst you, right? Status resistance and raw HP does that pretty well.
The only counter to it, really, if people are wondering, you know, why does a Slark just go SNY Satanic every game, is when people go, like, Diffusals and stuff, because he just runs out of mana. But he's not against a natural Diffusal mana-burning hero. They have the Beastmaster Necro book, but in this particular game, there's really no way to punish if he survives long in a fight, which makes the build much better.
All right, well, I would say our Legion commander hasn't fully recovered, but you're in a decent spot
Blink
now.
Blade
You
Mail's
got
pretty
Blink
decent.
Blade Mail. You feel good about starting fights.
Yeah.
Who's she going to look to initiate on, do you think?
Honestly, Shaker could be the best. Shaker or Beastmaster.
Depends on the point, though. I suppose if the Rupture hasn't gone out from Envy, he'd be the best shot.
Yeah, but he's got
Blade
Aegis
Mail.
right now, but once
It's
that's down,
true.
I agree. Yeah, you can. They have no actual save other than just counter initiation on the side of Cloud9. They have the bubble, but
the bubble, yeah.
effectively, since he's got a Blade Mail, he's not really the damage output. And that's the SF killing the Enchantress that we talked about. Just trying to disengage now, utilize...
Oh, go back
never
in
mind.
with the duel plus the Blade Mail. Now we have Misery sitting on the side. He just throws out a Fissure. Not going to try and do anything past that as long as he doesn't get caught by Minos. He does get out with the Blink. The
They're
Leo
chasing.
style still kind of chasing here underneath the tier 2 and everything.
No buybacks. They don't know that, though.
That's that aggression you were talking about, Dan. Just keep it going.
There it is, the Satanic queued up.
Once you sense your opponent is on the back foot, keep on hitting them.
Do you think it's quite close to what Brian was saying earlier about Cloud9 faltering a little in the mid-game? It felt like they had quite a strong plan of capturing the other side of the map, and now they've... I don't know what they know. I don't know what they think they're doing at the moment.
It does feel like they're giving up, like that one team fight they had in top in the jungle. That was rough and stuff. But I feel like with an Arc Warden, you should be able to stay a little bit more clumped up, not get these pickoffs, because Arc Warden will always be able to push out the lanes for you. So I feel like, you know, the picks that just happened at bottom lane was kind of, that was avoidable for sure.
I just think Arc Warden, if they plan to play it like this is an example of what I meant earlier where they don't seem to be on the same page.
Yeah.
Arc Warden used to be like that Boots of Travel Midas hero that would take the dangerous farm once he got those items. But now he's like plays with the team, you know? You needed a core that could take the dangerous farm and play alone, but instead you have this Bloodseeker who was forced to show up to all these fights so that mid-game's like super awkward for them. And because they have to 5-man even though they have Beastmaster Arc Warden. And they just go on.
Echo just straight up onto the Slark, tried to control him enough with the Rupture that's there as well. Minos will be able to get off his ultimate. Oh, he got him with the Enchant Totem just in time, stopping that TP. There's still going to be the save of the Cold Embrace, and Minos is actually back up to around half HP, a little bit higher. Now the Rupture's gone. Eternal Levy still going to try and chase him down, though. Has the vision. The Blood Right actually clips him enough for a little bit of a nuke, enough to be able to get the further vision, but it's not good enough to get the kill. Eternal Levy's now going to be feared back by Leo Styles' ultimate. Reckoning the Soul is now out. The damage is gone, and there's very little to fear on the side of Thunder Predator. So Ace can just deal with Matthew as he wants to, and they can continue to play on the side of Thunder Predator's map.
That's what I mean by, like, usually Slark dies to Rupture, but in this game he doesn't die to Rupture. And that extra 2 seconds off of the Rupture is a pretty big deal if you saw there with the SNY.
Yeah, absolutely, because they had just enough saves, right? He pops his ultimate, he pops Cold Embrace. That's almost the entirety of a Rupture right there.
Yeah.
Slug's got a gem as well, so they can start to control this map more, which is nice.
It's going to come down to the Arc Warden getting, like, Sheepstick, I think, for them to be able to play the game. Like, he gets this Mjolnir. He has the Hurricane Pike to counter the Slark. But once he gets, like, 4-5 slotted on Arc Warden, I think they can deal with the Slark. But Slark's going to hit this timing where he has Satanic plus Basher, or, like, some item that makes him a threat. And, that's going to be the window I think Thunder Predator is going to look to capitalize on. I like this move towards the top half of the map for Thunder Predator. They don't
Just
really care
staying
about
away
this tier
from
2.
C9 at this
Yeah, look for Roche. Look to get your next item on Slark. SF even went for this very mobile split push type build, so fighting them directly doesn't seem ideal. He's 1,000 off of BKB. So they've kind of lined up their timings here between the Slark and the SF. Going to get Satanic and BKB about the same time. It's probably going to line up pretty well with Roche. Overall, even if the game's pretty even, I think Thunder Predator has a much clearer plan to me of how they want to take this game.
Definitely, you can see kind of the steps, the build-up of how they're making this SF be more the mid-game with his pick-off build.
Yeah.
Right? He's not the damage dealer. He knows the win condition is on Slark, whereas we have that overlap that you mentioned from Cloud9. Still, though, BKB.
Oh, he actually goes BKB.
BKB now complete for the Slark, and it's almost up for the SF as well. That would be really big timing for Thunder Predator.
I don't hate it just because his SF's getting a BKB at the same time, so you do have quite the timing. Usually in pubs, you can't really rely on that kind of lining up of timings, but if that's his reasoning, I can't argue with it, even though the Satanic does just feel really good this game.
Well, staking, he has a pipe complete. That'll help mitigate pretty much most of the damage that's coming from that SF, as he's got a primarily magic damage build. Still top of the net worth is our Arc Warren, just ahead of the Slark. They're pretty much neck and neck. Same goes for the Bloodseeker and SF. And yeah, pretty much the same goes for our two offlaners. It's a very even game. Only 1K net worth lead for Cloud9 right now.
Who do you think this suits as it currently stands?
I just think it's all going to come down to the next fight. Like, they're going to fight over Rush. And I think because of the way Arc Warden and Beastmaster operate, they're going to naturally win the fight war or the farming war on Cloud9. And that's kind of their advantage. And right now, Thunder Predator just cannot give them this rush. You just can't let them have the second rush. They have to be aware that this is potentially happening right now. Obviously, it's a pretty early spawn, but that's the one objective that matters on the map right now. And they gave them the first one for free, and I think because of these BKBs, you can't hit this timing and just not do anything with it.
Yeah, with all these items, and surely they're not going to give up a second Roshan, but they will. It's already picked up by Eternal Envy. They managed to get the duel onto an illusion. What a disaster for Thunder Predator, but they're still going to pursue for more. They need more out of this, and that's where Minnow's going to be able to get the lockdown on his staking, trapping him. Meanwhile, Misery trying to get the control onto Legion Commander, stuck by the Rupture, not able to go anywhere, and that is going to be Eternal Envy, laying him down into the ground. MNZ now forced away from that very fast Bloodseekers trying to catch up to him. The Blood Right, they hit the Echo Slam. Still no Dark Pack going off. Gets off the last second here, but it gets Cold Embrace before he can finish off this Earthshaker, and now is getting beaten down to a core. That last impetus shot up into the high ground. Pylai die. He don't miss. Leo Style trying to go for the TP away. He's going to be successful, as is the Winter Wyvern.
That's a gem on the high ground, or now it's on the low ground.
But a 2-for-3 exchange. Cloud9, they won that part of the exchange. They got the Roshan, they got Aegis and Cheese, and they claimed the gem away from Thunder Predator. That is a massive win, even if the numbers don't line up exactly.
Yeah, I can't believe they gave him that rush, actually. They were like playing the top half of the map, getting that tier 1. And I don't know exactly what happened in there, but they had the BKBs. I don't think they should have surrendered control of the top half of the map, but they did. And that second Roche is a huge deal. Isn't there some sort of bugged interaction with Enchanted Quiver on... Oh, that's huge.
Finding the real Arc Warden like that? Massive.
No buyback either. He went for a Crystallis, bought out entirely.
Well, that Enchanted Quiver plays directly against him with the Blade Mail picked up by Frank. What is Blade Mail? What does he have after all of that? I think he was going back for Vlad's, yeah.
A lot of offlaners are doing this. They buy like 1 or 2 crucial items for their own hero, whether or not it's like Greaves or Blink. And then they go back for Vlad's. It's just too good of an item for most carry heroes. Some carry heroes don't make use of it, but Slark, a great example of one that does. So does SF. 25% lifesteal on ranged heroes now. Has the Titan Sliver on the Bloodseeker, so he'll appreciate that. One of the better items for heroes like that just want to run around.
Grove Bow for an SF who also recently got his level 20 talent, and now he's found Pylai Die. Uses him, but uses it to try and back away. Frank is going to go for the duel, though, especially now that MNZ is going to be able to follow that one up. They win that duel, and Eternal Envy,
he died fast.
He loses his first life really quickly. He's going to come back with the Aegis and a BKB. They're going to try and Fissure block him in. Matthew stealing that Fissure. But they have no real way to go for Eternal Envy past that. just kind of inconveniencing him. Now Ace slowing down MNC, sees the opportunity, pops his BKB, tries to catch Ace. Ace, 4 staffs down to low ground, leaves his illusion behind. MNC tries to deal with that as best as possible. Leo style, meanwhile, he has gone in. He actually blinked forward, Yules, BKB,
nice
pops
play.
his Requiem Souls, and TPs out during that fear timing.
Yeah, to make sure that Beastmaster couldn't roar him. That was actually really nice.
As a result, he may not lose his life, but it was a bit of a close call there, him blinking in that aggressively.
That seemed like a very fortunate outcome for Thunder Predator after utilizing 2 of their BKBs, virtually accomplishing nothing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cloud9 wants to punish this now. They still have Wyvern ulti, so they have to be a bit careful.
Frank running into the smoke here. They already have the Echo Slam on the left-hand side. Managed to lock down 2 heroes, both Matthew as well as MNC, but he didn't have enough damage follow-up. None of Cloud9 were able to get there in time, and as a result, MNC claims that kill. Now popping a Shadow Dance, getting on top of Eternal Envy. Envy forced to use his BKB. A DD Slark, which had ripped apart that Earthshaker, now has to pounce away from the Rupture. They have a stun. They will be able to get him, but no stun available. That was a Rubik's Stolen Fissure that went down. And it's just enough to get their carry out of dodge. 9-17, and Thunder Predator claiming the net worth lead again.
Did they buy back on Cloud9?
They bought back on somebody.
They
Beastmaster, I believe.
Beastmaster. And Pylai Dai bought back earlier.
Yeah. The good old walk up high ground into fog when you pop your smoke. Thunder Predator were ready for that, so I don't know if they saw the smoke or they predicted it, but either way, well played by them there.
Once again, it feels like Cloud9 are kind of in a winning position, but then they split a little bit apart. Thunder Predator finds an opening for a good team fight.
They kind of seem to get carried away.
Yeah.
Shadowfiend's going for the Lincoln's build, which is really nice because once he BKBs, he's pretty untouchable now. The fact that Cold Embrace works through BKB, he can be immune to magic and physical damage all at once.
Right.
Usually against heroes like Arc Warden, SF with BKB can kind of just melt to right clicks, but in this particular scenario, that's not the case. Kind of surprised when they third picked Wyvern that Cloud9 didn't immediately address it with some mid laner like Lesh or Pugna or something that punishes the hero that gets Cold Embraced. This game, they have no solution actually to it.
A really, really big Echo on top of them. That's about it, to be honest.
Yeah, and Thunder Predator just has to be careful of not giving that to him. They don't really have the heroes that group. The 2 supports sit in the back. The Legion's not going to blink in until it's right. SF and Slark both have BKBs. So it's going to be a tough sell to get that Echo, but absolutely can punish if they do get sloppy on the side of Thunder Predator.
On top of that, they have 2 supports that have near instant disables to stop a full combo if it does go off, right?
That's true.
Do you go Ags on the Slark eventually? Yeah.
Big hater of Ags on Slark now. I think it's a heavily nerfed item.
What was nerfed about it?
They made it so it's like 3/4 of the range, and then it has 10-second cooldown instead of 8.
Okay.
So it's an item that if you're ahead in the mid game after you buy Diffusal and you're just a huge threat on the map, I think it's really good. But unless that's like the exact scenario in the game, I don't think it's good.
I guess the Bloodseeker's good against it as well.
Were you saying the recharge time is 10 seconds?
Yeah, the recharge time is 10 seconds
okay.
instead of 8. I've seen it kill people at least 3 times in the games I've watched, so it seems small, but it's rather significant.
That's pretty wild that they would
make the cooldown longer.
Make the cooldown longer than the original cooldown.
Obviously, you get 2 charges, so it's effectively kind of not, but you know.
Yeah.
It's a noticeable nerf, and I think it's a luxury item in games where you're snowballing, and otherwise you just want other items most of the time. It's obviously great if he gets it from Roche. It's still like a nice Ags upgrade. But like here, I would want him to buy Abyssal next item, or even consider Silver Edge.
Sure.
Because you're against so many heroes with breakable passives, and they rely on Beastmaster Vision for scouting you out.
It also doesn't help the fact you're against the Bloodseeker. You know, just one awkward right as you pounce, you know, you get ruptured, and all of a sudden you've taken like 600 pure damage. You're like, oh, well, that sucks.
What's Eternal Envy going on Bloodseeker?
Butterfly.
Butterfly, fairly standard, nothing unusual.
Yeah. It's nice against Slark, because Slark doesn't usually buy MKB.
Multiple 4 staffs coming from Ace and the help of his Sims. Oh, they managed to get the duel onto the real Arc Warden. Once again, he's going to be eliminated by pretty much just the Blade Mail. The follow-up with the Requiem makes sure there's no turnaround from Cloud9. The Winter's Curse laid out onto Eternal Envy, just holding him in place. He still has BKB. He still has cheese. Maybe that's why the rest of the Thunder Predator were actually looking a little bit farther forward, trying to catch somebody else. Now he's going to pop his BKB and turn. With the cheese, he's just trying to get out, though. He knows he's completely outnumbered. That BKB may not last long enough. The Spider Legs, but he's going to be slowed down by the Diffuser Blade. Now going to be used up. Should lead into a pounce and an easy kill for Leo style. Wicked sick for him, and the rest of Thunder Predator looking hot right now as they've taken both the 1 and 2 position down from Cloud9. Look to take map control.
I really like the Lincolns on SF just because it protects him during BKB, and otherwise he can be another hero that sits behind the Slark and protects him when he gets either ruptured or roared or anything like that. It's just really hard for Cloud9 to fight now, especially, I mean, it's disastrous if Arc Ward never gets caught like that.
It was a really good duel, though, I think, from
Yeah,
Frank.
absolutely.
Totally making up for dueling the Illusion Beastmaster.
To be fair, it's really hard to not duel an illusion of a hero that naturally doesn't have illusions.
True.
It's really hard to know it's not real.
And now you just found a second duel. He was at 100 damage before, now 118.
That adds up eventually.
Yeah.
Highlight Die is really getting bullied here, I think. They're going on him a lot.
Enchantress past the laning stage as a 5 is pretty much a creep. He's going for a Moonshard on Slark. I can dig it. I would be a fan of the Basher myself, but one of the few heroes that you can buy a raw Moonshard on and not feel bad about it because it's effectively stats.
Yeah, I also wouldn't mind. Like, once you're able to get that Abyssal, and they just have the lockdown against Bloodseeker, whose BKB timing is running a little low, I think, at this point.
About 7 seconds, I think.
Right on
It's
the
another
money.
way to save your... Wow, he
Damn
nailed that.
man.
I'm going to retire from casting.
The only
Right.
complaint I have about that is that you said, I think. You said,
Sorry.
it's at
Yeah.
7 seconds, and then just look at it, and it's at 7.
Feedback noted.
Yeah, Dan, you're too British for that. You got to just
Yeah.
say things with a confident, almost arrogance
Yeah.
when you're a commentator.
We've
you
learned
know?
from Kyle
Okay.
and Grant, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. It's all about how convincing you sound when you say it.
Wonderful. Sounds like a cult leader.
But the
there we
difference,
go.
the thing is, you could be an innovator here and be correct while also sounding confident.
Yes.
That's but there's always a first for everything.
Yeah.
Kyle definitely does not do that one for us.
Sounds like a cult leader.
It is true though.
All right, Dan, you're not getting another talent gig. I'm going to make sure of it.
Just gaslighting people into believing my version of Dota is correct.
Suddenly an 8K net worth advantage for Thunder Predator. Roche is up. Is that Ags or the refresher on Roche? Is the refresher, so most likely probably Wyvern, maybe SF. Not a bad refresher hero.
Yeah, I'd be down for SF.
Even Slark's not a bad refresher hero, to be honest. Double BKB, double ult.
All right, Brian, it sounds like you're just trying to get all the items.
Well, to be fair, Slark is really nice with a refresher, but usually nowadays, since Satanic has become more popular, you don't buy it very often.
Cloud9, they were on the cliff, and they were just kind of watching from the high ground, and Thunder Predator, they move out of the pit so quickly. They're looking to be able to catch people here, and Leo Style just does that. He managed to get the Ult Scepter onto the real Arc Warden, it looks like, with the Requiem Souls. Afterwards, they actually do the duel onto the Bloodseeker while they try and chase down Ace here. A Fisher goes out, but Leo Style
The
blinks to the
refresher
other
blink.
side of it, managed to catch him. Meanwhile, back over to that duel, which Eternal Envy didn't die to, but he is going to be forced away. He runs out with his spider legs down the cliff. He does manage to get a rupture onto MNZ, but he just plays it with NJC right behind him, ready to go with the Call and the Brace if needed. Now the rupture is faded out. He's going to be able to pounce on his staking. He was trying to make his way back to the base. No such luck there. Eternal Envy bopped a little bit, very low, 250 health, but he is deep inside of his own base. And Thunder Predator, they've kept up that aggression. They just left the cheese on the ground. They said, screw it. Let's just run straight at them and get whatever picks they can. They're absolutely right to do so. They got a great team fight as a result.
Do you reckon they're going to remember the cheese, or is
They're letting it age.
they're letting it age? Yeah. Cave age cheese. That's Gruyere.
For anyone who didn't see that, SF blinked in to chase the Arc Warden and refreshered and blinked again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how he finished him off. That was
Very
really cool. That was
nice.
really cool. He wouldn't have gotten the kill if they hadn't done that, so pretty high play there.
Well, the Aghanims eventually for MNZ.
Not a fan, to be honest, but it's just like Diffusal. It's never bad.
Sure.
I just think Basher would be better.
9-22. this has been the first really big break in the game. Thunder Predator finally have a very dominant and clear victory, a 13,000 net worth lead, where for the most of the game, first 30, 35 minutes, it was pretty much only down to, at most, a 3 or 4K lead.
What's this Arc Warden building? Is he going?
He needs a BKB. I don't think he can keep skimping out on this. He has a Satanic queued up, but even with Satanic, if you get Blink Yule's Requiemed, I think you're just kind of dead. It doesn't benefit Cloud9 to take long fights. I think that's probably a better way to describe this game, because Slark is the be-all, end-all winner of long fights in these types of games, because he's just going to hit you a lot.
Yeah.
And he'll have 20 Essence Shift stacks. And even if you manage to disengage, he can, since he's level 25 now, he can have that extra Essence Shift for 3 minutes, which is a long time to not fight somebody.
Yeah. And items like Enchantress's Heaven's Halberd, looks like that's what she was building. I mean, that'll help a little bit, but it won't stop the advantage that Thunder Predator clearly have. A Fissure combined with the magnetic field means that MNC is struggling to actually hit that tier 3 tower.
Just hit it.
Especially with a repair kit up.
He's got like 45% status resistance, so Halberd goes down in value as well. How much is it? 44? Yeah, Halberd does get reduced by that.
Yeah, so just pretty much a 2-second Halberd disarm, right?
Something around there.
Oh, Witless Shaco. Are you a Shaco or Shaco, man?
I'm a Shaco, man.
It's one of those words that I only ever say in my head, so it's just kind of a sound.
Well, now you're a commentator now. You're gonna have to say it.
I'm gonna go with Shaco. I like Shaco.
All right, fair enough.
That's a huge value item for a Wyvern. Doesn't particularly need all the mana and pretty much doubles her health. You know.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Very nice.
Maybe give it to Enchantress on the other side as well.
Cloud9 also get one. A little bit rough when, a stolen Primal Roar by Matthew, and now a stolen Fissure. Easy 1-2 punch that leads to Leo style getting Godlike Spree, and now Cloud9's base under assault once again. They are going to use another round of their repair kit, where Thunder Predator just going to switch over to mid lane instead.
They picked that Shaker into the Rubik. Misses the bubble.
Misses the bubble.
Does scare the Slark away with the Intimidation bubble.
Starts laying out the Spark Race. Is Arc Warden 25, by the way? He's probably not. Oh, jeez, he's only level 20.
Yeah, the clone doesn't give you XP. So when you fall behind,
Right.
you generally don't get levels. He's queuing up. He bought bots, and now he's queuing up a Shadow Blade.
Okay, duel on a Pylite Die. There's going to be that magnetic field. MNC, though, quickly gets inside the bubble, finishes out Pylite Die for Frank, and they win the duel. Now continue their assault to tier 3.
Ace is like backtracking for this split push build when the enemy team is not going to be split pushing. They're just fighting
Yeah.
you. That's kind of a weird, lack of a better word, approach to the game here.
Abyssal Blade for Eternal Envy on his Bloodseeker.
There you go. It's on a Slark as well. The Slark with Abyssal is much scarier than a Bloodseeker. He misses the bubble again.
Yeah.
Looks like that one's on top of it, but he did
Ace
miss
has
it.
also been getting caught a lot with his real
Yeah.
Arc Warden many times, especially by the Legion Commander. I feel like that's something that probably shouldn't happen. Ace, maybe just a little bit rusty here. Eternal Envy sees the opportunity to try and
This is what
pounce
I
on
mean,
MNZ, gets the Abyssal Blade, but instantly the counter of the Cold Embrace. Now Eternal Envy has to use both his BKB and his Spider Legs to retreat safely.
Their saves have been so good on Thunder Predator every time. It's really screwing Eternal Envy.
Feels like they gotta go one of those smoke wraparounds at this point. I mean, this Winter Wyvern has just been such a problem, such a threat.
That was my issue. They picked Wyvern, and then you just picked like Arc Warden, Bloodseeker as your two counters. You pick like Storm Spirit or something, something that just kills the Wyvern.
Okay, well, they find the Winter Wyvern here as he was actually going for the ward, trying to de-ward here. Does actually get a Force Staff to save him, puts him on the high ground. Now the interception is they get the duel into the Requiem, instantly blowing up Eternal Envy. He's just gone, snaking down to half health and running the wrong direction because of the fear. Instead, they're going to turn towards the Arc Warden. They caught Ace as well. Neither one of them have buyback. A Winter's Curse on a Pylite Die to make sure that the rest of Thunder Predator can catch him. Pretty sure Snake King's still out in the middle of nowhere. In fact, he's cutting the mid-creep wave because he's got no other options. His cores don't have buybacks. He has to stop this push somehow, but it just means that he's going to be easy fodder for Matthew, who finds him, catches him, puts him down, forces the buyback, but the march continues by Thunder Predator And I don't think there is one whit left in Cloud9 to be able to stop this.
This is the first step to South America taking over the North American region. 2 years from now, when you guys quote me of South America being better than North America, this will be the beginning of the end for the North American region right here. Summit 12. Loot bet Summit 12.
All on that train.
Yeah.
Brian. Loot bet. Dota Summit 12, Thunder Predator find their second victory of the tournament.
Yeah.
After being able to take one game off of OGC, they've taken the first game against Cloud9. Cloud9 left still looking and wanting. Brian, you said that they haven't scrimmed much or anything, so they're still figuring themselves out as a team. Do you feel like there's progression?
Not so far in this tournament, to be honest.
Fair
I think
enough.
that draft was just strange to me.
Dan, give me some words of motivation.
Help
for
us out, Dan.
Cloud9.
Your Eternal Envy. Go.
Oh, I don't know.
Well,
I
the
think-
stammering is a good step.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Dan's going to need a moment to be able to think about these words of motivation. We're going to go to a break. And now that you've had those 3 minutes, Dan, to think of your wonderful words of wisdom, because we learned that it is very important for Cloud9 to be able to win this next match. In fact, they have to win every single game from here on out to stay in Loot Bet Dota Summit 12. So, Dan, hit me. Hit me with the words that will bring Cloud9 back from the brink.
I would say the past doesn't exist.
Okay.
We're only the future. Just they've got to stop dwelling on what's happened and go forwards. And they're good players. They know they're good players. These are players who have won lands, who have gone high place finishes at TI, and I think they have the experience within them to do something good.
Don't dwell on past mistakes.
Live
I
in
like
the
it, Dan.
now.
Live in the now. Brian, do you live in the now?
Totally.
Okay.
I don't know if C9's living in the now yet, but now after Dan's speech, I think that they have a chance coming into game 2.
I'm sure they're listening. I mean, is anybody? No, it's just Thunder Predator down here.
That's why
They
they're
may
gonna
have missed your speech, Dan.
Yeah, I've got nothing to say to Thunder Predator. No speech for them, unfortunately.
Okay.
They don't
We'll
need it.
send Eternal Envy the VOD after today,
Yes,
and he'll
please
come
do.
back tomorrow stronger than ever. Hopefully they can win this game to still have a chance tomorrow. you know?
Yes. That is how it works right now. There are the Cloud9 boys. Well,
looking
it's
hyped.
it's a bit of a bleak
Hyped.
scene, if I'll be honest. It is a whole lot of, I don't know what to do.
That is a literal slump
Yeah.
and misery. Never mind.
Production, do you have a ba-dum-tsh?
Please, no.
I mean, Brian, what about, do you have any Dota insights for them?
Dota is not just a one-on-one game, you know. There's 8 other heroes in the game for a reason. You can't just
Okay.
pick Bloodseeker into Slark and expect to win. I think the draft is kind of like a fluid thing where
Sure.
every pick needs to make sense in the grand scheme of the picture. I think that Arc Warden pick made none. I don't really see what it does to SF Rubik Wyvern. That's the heroes it saw when they picked it. I don't think in this tier of Dota, even though Thunder Predator by no means is tier 1, that you can just afford to pick a core that makes no sense for the game.
Is there a chance that you have too many cooks in the kitchen here?
I
when it comes to our
think it's
draft?
probably happening because the
Okay.
unity in the game plan is not there. It does not seem like one player is formulating the draft for them. I think the best solution in these types of scenarios is if you have one player drafting, in my experience at least, is that you say I'm drafting.
Yeah.
And I don't want to tell Ace what to play in the mid lane, for instance, but I want to say, hey, I need a hero that fits this description.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can give, like, I'll say, here's like 4 or 5 options. What do you think you would most like to play right now?
Mm-hmm.
But you limit it, right? You can't just say, what do you feel like playing? It just doesn't work. That seems like what's going on, because in the mid game, they get to a great place,
Yep.
and then the plan doesn't add up. So it kind of seems like, hey, we're giving you a hero that you think's going to do well, but then none of the strategy comes together, and that, like you said, I think that's too many people contributing to the overall strategy.
Too many individual ideas. Too many. Oh, I need this item. Oh, we should play over here. Somebody else wants to play on another side of the map. The best bit of cooperation I saw was Snaking and Misery. Actually, when Snaking took over the enemy jungle and lined himself up with Pile Die and pretty much made this barricade wall. This like you're not getting into your jungle. And then you had Misery in the top left, farming up the lane, getting his Blink Dagger. That was like the best bit of cooperation we saw from them. And then once they hit the mid game, you need a really unified game plan, and that did not seem to come to fruition.
It feels like they have 3 or 4 game plans. And as you said, they're 4 of the most vocal players in Dota, and Snaking's not a captain, but he's a very vocal off laner. Eternal Envy's always been a captain, even from the 1 position. And I'm aware that he captained to a degree the previous team that he was on. And both Misery and Pile Die are captains as well. So this is 3 captains in a team and 1 vocal player. I don't know much about Ace, but I assume the fact he always gets his heroes and he plays heroes he likes on all the teams he has played, that he is a player who contributes to drafting as well. So that's a lot of ideas. And I think for a new team that's quite difficult to solidify, and eventually, hopefully, over the next couple of months, they'll work out a leadership structure.
Dan, do you you have real person jobs, right? Like you actually have experience in the workforce.
What's it like
and such.
in the real
what do you
world,
do?
Dan?
I work in, it's all right. It's not as fun as this. I work in data analytics.
Okay.
I'm a data expert is my...
So do you ever have to work in teams? I know nothing about data analytics.
I work in a team, of about 6 people. I'm one of the more junior people in a team. I have underlings, but they're very, very much not my responsibility.
Peasants.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not peasants. They're good people. I like them.
You're like more mentor, but not necessarily a leader.
Yeah, well, I give them some advice. I'd let them
Yeah.
know about Excel. I know a lot about Excel.
Okay.
That's what everyone knows me as. If anyone needs to know how to do an index match, come to me.
Okay. Fair enough.
The ladies are...
The ladies are all over that.
drooling.
Excel.
Yeah.
They are.
Tell me more about that. No, but so what I was leading to is in your experience in a leadership role or having other people, adopt that sort of leadership role. What are some of the things that you've kind of learned as you've gone through?
I think it's important to have a sense of honest dialogue and feedback and clarity. I think often, and especially when I was a younger person working with leaders, I was very arrogant and didn't want to take feedback. And I think it's very
I can
hard.
relate to this.
Yeah, it's very hard to build a team if the people who are down the chain won't take feedback. And I can imagine that almost happening on this team with some people who are very strong characters. There's no chain for feedback to go down.
Brian and his thought bubble is just literally just like the first 15 teams he's been on, Summoner's Rift, Team Runes. All
I gotta say is if you're in like the 20 to 23-year-old realm or younger, I guess younger, 23 or younger realm, and you're a Dota player and you're trying to take Dota seriously, and you have enough more experienced players telling you you're doing something wrong, can you just believe them? I didn't, and it took me like an extra 2 or 3 years to make up for that. So just not like I'm talking to someone specific or anybody in NA, but just try, 'cause
I will say that in my own experience with leadership roles, there is nothing wrong with being somebody who's good at following orders. Maybe that's just the military part speaking, because that obviously gets beaten into you. But it's like you need good followers. You need people who will listen to an order and actually follow through with that. And I like what you said, Dan, about like you need that kind of openness and that honesty to be able to really create a good team dynamic. And that is where I feel like you have the most hope on Cloud9, because with Eternal Envy and Snaking and Misery, you're not going to find dishonesty, behind the doors. I think you're going to be pretty vocal about your misgivings, let's say. I mean, Misery doesn't really mince words. Jackie Mao and as well as Snaking, they're both pretty open with criticism and stuff. So they should be able to have that conversation. Hopefully they'll just be able to work out that leadership style.
I agree.
Yeah.
I certainly don't think Misery's going to be backing down from that, right? you gotta fall in line with Misery, right?
And as the production team here, we are producing this whole tournament as a unit, and we're going to throw it to the rest of the team as we take a break going into the next game.